Flex TFT. Okay, so here we go. We are inside of Appy's game. Now, Appy's, if you aren't familiar with already, is, in my opinion, one of the best cooks of North America. He really is known to be, like, this guy who's very great at just, like, whipping up some weird shit and making it work. So he has a very, very cool cooking playstyle that I think is super fun to watch. And I think, quite honestly, unless you're in, like, the top of Challenger, like, you can emulate his playstyle and find major success. And even for him, he's currently sitting very chilly at 844 LP, cooking some really unique boards in play. Starting off here with the Zyra start, and actually a Zyra 2 in shop. Mundo and Darius as well. I do find it a little awkward that he did sell the Darius here. You do want to hold on to the Darius here, potentially play around boosters for your front line. I do think it's a slight mistake, but overall, it's not too major. We do have a glove start as well. I know Street Demon is on everybody's mind right now, so things like JG, Guard Breaker, Shojin, things are really great for Brand are on everybody's radar. JG Slam already looking really solid, potentially to play into like some sort of an AP opener, but we don't really have any strong units to really hold on to. I mean, to be fair, we have the Vi 2 and the Zyra 2, but no Vanguards to support, no Techies to support. So we do have strong units, but we don't really have strong direction just yet. But I think for a lot of players, they're already kind of thinking about Street Demon in a spot like this. Getting Bow here as well, make things a little bit awkward with the Ginsu Slam. Potentially, that is probably what everybody's minds are thinking about. But going here to 1 Augments, Delete Start, Spoils of War, and Component Buffet. I do think that his board is solid, but it does lack a little bit of full support. And what I mean by that is that in his current spot, he has no Vanguards to support the Vi, no Techies to support the Zyra, no Street Demon to support the the Mundo and the Zyra. So it's a bit of an awkward spot to say the least. I do think Silver Spoils though, like while our board is strong, until we have that like solid foundation in place, it's not ideal to take spoils if we can't just guarantee like a potential 5-streak right off rip. So definitely Delayed Start or Component Buffet are our 2 options here. Delayed Start is probably a little more appealing, and I do think that in most cases you do take Delayed Start in a spot like this, just because even though Zyra 2 is great and Vi 2 is great, again, without that full cohesion for the board, it's a little awkward. Also, Delay Start just gives so much extra econ to start off with. It's really, really good for such a silver augment. I think most people consider this like a silver 0.5 augment. Like, it's actually like pretty good. Silver 1.5x. Definitely gonna reroll over Spoils of War here, I do think. I know Appy's does like the Component Buffet here as well, which I think is okay. I could see like a JG plus Bow maybe into like a red buff scenario maybe. Potentially, but I do think that Component Buffet is like acceptable, but I do think Delay Start just makes more sense here. He does get the Nefuri and the Nidalee and Kindreds off board. Now, if you know anything about Appy's, currently he actually really loves playing around Nefuri and the dogs. He did put out like a 40-minute video talking about it, but if you want to go check it out, you totally can. I still think most of it is relatively correct, and I think most people have caught on nowadays that the Nefuri build is like IE Hodge GA is sort of like the main build right now. You can play around Hyperfangs, you can play around Pulse. I think Pulse is his best one, but still very, very fun comp. I believe he doesn't level here because he wants to find a little bit more direction before popping his Anvil here, just to see what he gets. Finds the Nidalee 2 as well, actually just sells completely the Zyra 2 and the Vi 2 just to play the dogs plus the Kindred. So already we're looking at a potential dogs game, and again, Appy's loves his fucking dogs, so he's he doesn't seem like a dog person, but he has a cat tower behind him, so very conflicting man. But he's a very nice guy. Anyways, so looks like we have the Nidalee to go, and it looks like potentially like a dog game. I think it's a little awkward with these components though. It does seem like if you do want to play around dogs, typically you want to play around the Nefuri first. I don't think we got a chance to look as exo items, but if I remember correctly off memory, it was chassis. So I don't think it's a really good spot to really even consider playing around the Nefuri, but we do have Nidalee 2 being our main upgrade here, and again, Appy has a bit of a bias towards this comp. Right now it's a bit hard to say in terms of direction. Actually, throughout the entire VOD, you'll hear me say I'm a little unsure about his direction, because I remember when I first watched this VOD, I was actually lost as fuck watching this shit, because every single decision point made like no sense to me. And you'll understand what I mean in a second. For example, he pops the Anvil here, which I think is really surprising considering the carousel's coming up soon, and I understand that we did just win a fight, but realistically speaking, I feel like you want to wait at least until carousel to happen before you slam anything, because you can, have a bit of a better idea as to what you're going to be building into, and then what your open component is going to end up being. So a little suboptimal again in my opinion, but I think overall though, like, I can understand that he did win the first fight, so he does want to like slam something to try to like keep his streak going if possible. Going to components as well, again, it's red buff JG. He doesn't have a lot of like he doesn't have a lot of direction, to be completely honest here. And he does in fact check the X attack item, and I believe it was chassis. I'm gonna double check here just for you guys, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Sorry, it is Hyper Fangs. So Hyper Fangs does open up the Neferi line a bit more, but it's still, you know, Sword just got taken off, and Hyper Fangs Neferi is typically, you're thinking about like GA. I believe it's GAIE Hyper Fangs is the current meta build, and GA is kind of like a necessity. Like you kind of like really need GA. Also here going into 2-5 augments, excuse me, because augments have, I believe there's an extra augment round, or they either got shifted. It's one of the encounters. I believe they got shifted around. Eye for an Eye, Survivor, and Bulky Buddies. I don't think it's Survivor. I don't think it's ever fucking Survivor. It's technically slightly better in this spot because some rounds have passed and people are slightly lower HP, but it's not good by any means, and it's really like an insane augment to even take at any point of the game. Eye for an Eye, Bulky Buddies. Eye for an Eye could make some sense, but we did already slam the red buff. And our board is not necessarily weak by any means. So Eye for an Eye is a little odd. Also, we did lose a couple rounds of Eye for an Eye value. So actually, I think Bulky Buddies is probably the more correct option out of these. But it does seem like Appy's rolls over 1 in 3 and ends up actually probably leaning towards Eye for an Eye. But again, I don't think Eye for an Eye is very good in this current spot. It is 3 components, I understand, but again, you lost a lot of value going into this round. Blistering Strikes also, we have red buff, so definitely can't take it. So actually, I don't mind 1, 2, 3s here just to get a little bit of more direction and just get a little bit of that extra econ to try and fortify our economy a little bit here, because we are not necessarily that rich compared to, you know, the current set. I think in any other regular set though, it's definitely pretty standard to be in his current economic spot. But I believe, again, Appy's is known to be a cook and takes very interesting decisions. It actually takes Eye for an Eye here. And again, I don't necessarily agree. I do think that you do want to take 1, 2, 3s here, just to be a little bit more certain about your direction. Again, he could be thinking about playing around dogs here, but he ends up summoning Crown Guard. So now I'm like very confused because, you know, leading up to this point, I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe he's just forcing Neferi from like a very precarious spot. But albeit all things considered, he's summoning Crown Guard, red buff. It is his strongest board, but now we lost the chain component. So now GA isn't really in the equation anymore. It's not really up for grabs. So now what? We're level 5. We're 10 gold. We're very poor. And like our spot lacks direction, but it gives tempo. So, and that's the thing about tempo, I think is important to mention as well, is that like when it comes to tempo, like you really want to just preserve your HP and figure it out later. And his items are actually super flexible, right? Crown Guard can go on any tank. Red buff can go on anybody. You always need anti-heal to your board to some degree. He does have the Senate on his board as well. Senate is his strongest in. He probably will have to sell the Jin, I think, as well. I think he did want to hold on to this marksman pair in the back, but at the end of the day, if he's gonna cook, he's gonna cook. So realistically, whether win or lose, he probably will win. Definitely will win against the Cypher guy. So selling the Kindred here just to make 20. And again, economy is fine, but this set, there's so much inflation going on right now that, like, realistically speaking, we are technically a little broke. But we're on a 4 streak, so I mean, it could be a lot worse to say the least. So at least we're broke, but well, despite we're broke, we are on a win streak, so that's okay. Again, Appy's just, I think he's just trying to find direction or something. Like, if you're looking at the spot and you can tell me exactly what he's gonna play, you are a saint. Because not even just a saint, you might be Einstein levels of genius. Because like, quite honestly, like, I'm looking at this shit and I'm just like, it can be literally anything. And I think in TFT, especially modern TFT, like, you really do want to find that direction kind of ASAP, so you know how to, you know, prioritize your economy better and make sure that you are hitting thresholds whenever necessary. Because even right now, we are broke as shit. And actually, I think in this spot, most players would actually sell the Jin, the Shyvana, and the Kindred to make 30. But Appy's actually opts out of doing any of that and actually goes and picks up the Mordekaiser instead. 3-1 augments now. That's a new twist for ya. Epitaph, Mace's Will, and Bronze for Life. We do have a bunch of anvils available, and the dogs are still kind of within the realm of possibilities here. So, like, if we do play around dogs here, I do think Mace's Will makes a lot of it makes some sense, actually, yeah. Because you do have 0 items for this dog. You do have Hyper Fangs, though, which is why he held onto the Mordekaiser for potential X-Tech for the Hyper Fangs. But if you do want to play around dogs, Mace's Will sounds great because it's an extra component that sounds like it could work. Again, it goes into IE, which is great. But then again, you do need GA. So with Hyper Fangs on, you don't really need more than 1 glove. So actually, Mace's Will is sounding less and less impressive now that I'm thinking about it. It might just be Epitaph then, but we don't have a lot of units on our board here. I guess, again, like, Mace's Will is fine. Leading Healing Orbs means he's probably still thinking about playing dog here, surprisingly. And then he rerolls middle and actually finds Glimify. And you can see his mouse. He actually does want to take healing orbs, but Golemify. Golemify is interesting. Golemify is actually one of those augments that you almost insta-take in almost any spot, which is pretty crazy. And actually, I remember the first time I was watching this VOD, I was like, you know what? This has been one of the few times that I would not take Golemify. Because I think that we are so broke. We have no way to get and play... Like, typically you play Golemify, you play standard, unless there's like some like broken reroll shit. But like, he ends up taking Golemify here, despite being so unbelievably poor here. And we're level 5, 20 gold on 3-1. But we're on a 4 streak. But we are on a 4 streak. And Appy's here, he's just going to slam whatever is going to be the strongest for his current board here. And in that case, it's going to be AD Jhin items. So things like the IE, things like Last Whisper, these are totally understandable. He actually even pops his last anvil here, which I think is a bit unnecessary. You don't have to pop the last one, especially if you don't have an open component lying around. And you have Eye for an Eye, so like potentially you could get some more Eye for an Eye value as the game progresses here. But it looks like the Shaco targeting actually knocks out the Jhin, which is pretty unfortunate for us. So this fight does potentially look like a loss, but at the same time, this golem is fucking broken as shit. So it looks like it's gonna be close actually, but yeah, he ends up winning, which is fucking stupid. This golem actually does 6k damage. Like, this is why you kind of almost always take Golemify. I was bracing myself to pause, but I forgot that we just had our augment choices, so there's no more augments for the rest of the game to choose from. So it looks like, again, Appy's is just gonna be trying to create the strongest board that he possibly can. We are on a 5 streak, so he does actually kind of have to level here to 6, despite the fact that he's 10 gold on 3-2 level 6. We are turbo broke. But it is important that we do level here because we do want to stay within relative tempo of the lobby. Level 6 here, by the way, fighting into Zoo Nation with Last Stand with Cypher. So obviously this board is looking really, really strong, potentially down the line, but for now we're going to be clearing it. And actually, crazy enough, I am going to increase the speed of the VOD to 2x speed instead of 1.5x speed, because you'll notice something really interesting throughout the stage, where during the stage, Appy's actually ends up going on a pretty interesting streak here. And take a guess. I want you to guess what kind of a streak he goes on for stage 3. Again, the name of the game here is just build your strongest board as much as you can, as much as possible, and hold any pairs that come your way because they'll probably go onto your board. So, how far do you think we streak from the spot, right? Because, again, our board is a bunch of 1 costs. Nothing's really upgraded, if at all. We have a 3-item carry, which is great. And we have a golem on our board. How can we... You know, do you think we win streak the rest of the stage? We've already won 2. I wonder how far we can go, right? We're fighting into Trade Tracker as well, so someone's playing again into a potential super high cash out, like, environment, excuse me, like cash out board. We have an open glove as well, which is probably fine for literally anything. Again, we just kind of want to take whatever comes our way. He is streaking quite a bit, and again, Appy's is the type of person to really make sure that he always builds the strongest board he possibly can. And QSS here is really interesting. He actually, like, considers the chain here, and then he goes, no, I'm going to take an item that I can use on my carry because I do have a glove on my graves. Sure. I feel like 9 times out of 10, most people would take Steadfast here. So again, this is probably one of the most confusing games the TFT I've ever witnessed, but I mean, we're Graves too, so it makes sense you want to start itemizing your next strongest unit. But QSS is a really interesting choice, but it does actually have a bit of direction towards it. There is 1 unit. 2, excuse me. There are 2 units in the set that come to mind when it comes to QSS, and that being actually their optimal item. Can you guess what they are? They're a 1 cost and a 5 cost, if you want to guess it. But we fight into Cypher here, and actually he scams out a 9 win, which I think is insane. He actually fought so many weak boards during stage 3 here, which I thought was super crazy, considering the fact that this entire lobby is actually playing like a super cash out. But anyways, sorry, to answer the question for previously, before I left you guys on a little bit of a cliffhanger, Yumi 2, by the way, really interesting. But it is Shaco with RFC is option 1, and Renekton for option 2. And Renekton is actually like sort of the key here. Like, we do want to eventually try to play into Renekton here if possible. Now, obviously as well, hold on. Obviously as well, we do want to think about Renekton because we do want to use Golemify and bite out the Golem for it. Perfect enough. Reminder, QSS on our board. We have Last Whisper IE. What do you want out of these 4 anvils? Alright, this is a quiz for you. Because Appy's already knows what he wants here, by the way. He sees these 4 anvils, he knows exact components that he wants. Do you know what they are? I'll give you a hint. He already took a tier here. What are your next 3 ideal items here? Did you lock your answers? The 2 full items that he wants, or rather the 4 components, is blue buff Nashers. This guy saw the Yuumi 2 and went, this is the strongest thing I can put on my board now. And Yuumi 2 is a Yuumi 2. Therefore, I'm going to put blue buff Nashers and red buff. I'm going to purple buff the Yuumi and then move the QSS IE Last Whisper onto the Jinx. Dog, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's crazy, because I feel like if you're slamming these items, you might be thinking, oh, that makes sense. Kind of. Like, maybe he'll play into Annie. I think that's fine. Annie? How the fuck are we playing into Annie from the spot? We have nothing that points us toward, literally nothing like maybe Street. Actually, the more I'm looking at it, Shannon is starting to make a lot more sense. But as you're scouting around the lobby, you can see that there is at least one person already has Vex, one person already has the Nikos and the Brands. I guess now that I'm looking at it, Shadamp is making a little bit more sense here. Holy shit. But even then, Shadamp is kind of precarious. We have really none of the units. We have 5 Street Demon. So maybe you could play into Shadamp with, like, you want to play, like, what, like Annie plus Samira potentially. But we are broke as fuck. We are actually broke as fuck. So, like, also he splits here, by the way. Fucking madman. I think anybody in this spot, considering how broke we are, it's 4-3, by the way. Most people are level 8 at this point, already rolling for the units. I feel like at this point, most players are like, well, shit, I'm so broke, I need the money, so they're not gonna split. But he's like, nah, I have enough money, I'm chilling. I'm gonna just kneecap whoever's trying to be greedy. Huh? And here's the thing, by the way. Like, even if you wanted to play Strat-Amp, you want to play into, like, Annie with, like, the Nico and, like, all of that other jazz. Like, you need so much money to pivot the board. And you have people who are hard contesting the units that you want because the Street Demon board is so popular. So, like, Strat-Amp could theoretically work with these items, but it's so far away from where we need to be. Or from where we currently are, excuse me. So, you can't realistically really think Strat-Amp in this spot. So anyways, he takes a glove off here, by the way. I cannot really tell you why. Because we're not slamming a guard breaker. We need frontline items. So I'm really surprised he takes glove here. And then he levels here. And then guess what he does? Are you ready for the rollout? Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, psych, bitch. There's no roll down. I think most players, by the way, I think it should have been strategist here, not the Zed. I don't think the 2 Slayer does anything. But he's sitting on this board. He goes, this is enough. Cinema. It's enough. What the fuck? I feel like 99% of players would look at this spot and go, no, I need to pivot into something good. I need to pivot into, like, an Annie or something to throw into my board here. Natural Aurora, which is pretty good. We have the Zayatin as well, so we get 3 Anima here, which is fine, and it gives marksman for our Jinx 1. We get TG here out of the Capote. So, Capote buffet. So, I mean, like, sure, I guess. But this board does not look very hot. Respectfully. It's 4-6. We have Yuumi 2, Jinx 1. And a bunch of random shit on our board. And we're losing fights, but we're actually losing kind of gracefully. Like, 1 unit losses, 2 unit losses are actually not that bad. That is crazy, by the way. This board looks like the hottest pile of trash I've ever seen in my life. Respectfully. And, like, look, hold on. By the way, let's just compare. He scouts here, by the way, so we can see. This is our board, okay? Yuumi 2, Jinx 1, Aurora 1, no items, Echo 1, Mundo 1. That's our board. And a Rengar 2, I guess. That's our board. He scouts. Ready? Let's see what we got. Slayer Vayne. This guy missed hitting. That's fine. Whatever. He's about to hit next turn. We have this. What the fuck is this shit? 5 Syndicate TF board. I don't know what this guy's doing. We have a meta board, 7 Street Demon with the brand pair. We have Ziggs 2, Nico 2. So this guy's super strong with Cypher Cash Out, by the way. This guy is Veigar 3 with a lot of tempo. True Beast Veigar. Pretty strong board as well. Last Stand, Exo Tech with Vex. Very strong board as well. There's actually like a ton of really strong players in our fucking rotation and in the lobby still. This board looks like not very good, if you ask me. And he's looking for his eye for an eye, by the way, and he has 6 stats left, so he actually shouldn't have popped this last anvil. But this is our spot here. Now, in this spot, surely we roll into something, yes? Like, I think 9 times out of 10, players, no matter who you are at what level, would look at this spot and say, I have fucking nothing. I have absolutely nothing on my board right now. Surely we roll and we build a board. Surely. Yes? Surely. He's sitting. This guy's sitting. Look at this loss, by the way. We lost Trade Tracker Cypher, level 9. That's the first fight we lost to. Surely at this point we start rolling, yes? Sure, yes? Did you see that, by the way? He pumped. We are level 9, 10 gold. We are level 9, 10 gold. Yes, we have some pairs on our bench as well, sure. But this is not nearly enough money to find something of value. So actually, we find the Urgot here, which is like interesting in our shop. We also have the Aurora as well in our shop. I think he sells the Zeds. I think he's holding the Zeds for way too long. I think the original intent was like blue buff with IE to maybe play into some sort of like Zed line. Finds Aurora too, actually. So now selling this, I think Yumi makes a lot of sense here. But now he has a Senna on his board as well, which is fine. He finds the Crocoboy, which is great. So now Crocoboy can eat the Golem, which is a little precarious. But honestly speaking, who else is going to hold any of these items? LWIE onto the Urgot here. QSS tank items onto the Renekton. Hitbox being fucking stupid again. Yumi items are on the Yumi, which should not be on our board anymore at this point. But actually, she's 3 anima, 2 strat, so she's doing something, I guess. But something is not a lot. It's just something. It's not a lot. So, what the fuck? And even now, like, you probably want, like, BT here or Sterax maybe for the Renekton. Ends up getting GS. GS is fine as well. I guess that's for the Urgot. I think that's okay. You definitely just, like, get rid of this Yumi, though, I think, entirely. I think it's fine. He gets the 2 Executioner into his board, so his Urgot can finally do some damage. Man, and then we get the Bastion in, so Bastion is good. That buffs the board and the Renekton. Executioner with Vex for Divinicore. That's also good. But this is our spot. It's like getting there. Aurora too, very good. It's like getting there. Look at the damage charts. It's like, how do I describe this? It's like, it's a group project. Usually TFT feels like I got one person who's group leading the project and is always fucking pissed off because nobody's doing the work and they have to complain to the professor, right? Usually that's what the TFT comps are like. Maybe there's one other tryhard. But Appy's spot and his entire board is just it's a collective, I'm gonna do my part. What the fuck? Like, look at his spot, by the way. He is now 5 Divinicore with Aurora 2, Urgot 1. With a Golem. And the Golem's actually, don't get me wrong, actually very good. It actually makes up for a large fact that his front line is giga lacking. But this guy is quite literally squeezing water out of stone. He is taking these stones and, like, between his forearms, crushing them. And then, combined with his sweat, just squeezing out, like, 2 milliliters of water. And then he's drinking it to quench his thirst. And then after he takes a fucking sip, he says, I'm no longer thirsty. I'm no longer parched. TG. What the fuck, man? I don't know about the redemption here. I think it's BT moved the redemption to the ceremony. It's okay. But, like, holy shit. And then look at he's winning fights. He's actually winning fights. That's insane. He has Renekton 2 on his board. Now he has Aurora 2 on his board. Now he has an Urgot on his board. Oh, excuse me. He has a Renekton 1. Now he has Renekton 2. There you go. Yes, I did watch this fight. Or I watched this VOD beforehand. And then he also has Vex 2, by the way. And look at his TG items on his Cho'Gath, by the way. He goes, these are not good enough for Cho'Gath, but I'll put them onto the Vex 2. Fine, why not? I guess it's okay, except for the fact that our frontline fucking sucks dick. Dude, our Cho'Gath fell over like it was a piece of paper. Dog. What is going on? And actually, crazy enough, it's actually top 3 right now. And actually, potentially top 2. He definitely doesn't win against, I think, anybody else in the lobby as well. He picked up the Gragas here in case he finds that Urgot shop, and then he can sell the Gragas to make the Urgot too, and then drop the Gragas. But I think this 5 Divinicore is probably going to maybe be the end of the line. We're buffing like our whole board with Divinicore with the 2 Bastions, and buffing the Golem as well. So like, theoretically, it makes sense. But the way that we got here was so weird. So weird. I don't think anybody can watch this game and say, wow, this game made perfect sense the whole way through. This was easily, by far, the most flex TFT I've seen in a long time. Long time. Last time I saw a flex TFT like this was set 12 with YBY1. I remember. I tweeted about that game because I was like, holy fucking shit, my eyes have been opened. Good shit. Cool shit. Fantastic game. I'm glad I got to cover this one with you guys. And hopefully, I'll see you guys all soon. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you found it helpful. Please, 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 please. Thank you so much. I am also going to do a challenge, by the way. I am only announcing this at the end of the video because I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. And not everybody makes it to the end. But, announcement, I'm going to try and stream every day and post 1 YouTube short and 1 long format video every single day for the month of May. I'm going to try. That is my personal challenge. You heard it here. Shh. Don't be too loud about it until we're like a week in though. And then we can be like, by the way, did you know I was doing this? Baby steps. Baby steps. We gotta bring back the consistency. But also, last patch was so dookie ass butter cheeks that I did not want to talk about. Yeah, I was playing Pal Worlds, man. I was playing Pal Worlds because I could not take that patch. Okay, anyways. Enough about that. This patch seems pretty fucking good. Sorry, I almost say shit out of habit. That's terrible. Excuse me. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Until then, catch y'all later. Take care. Happy clubbing.